announcement. Sorry.
Yeah, hey everybody, welcome back to another week with the Trading Triangle. I'm your host, Trader Nate, and with me as always, we got Sean and Kay. Sean, how you doing today?
Yeah, really good. It's really hot and sunny today in the UK, which obviously is not the most common thing. But everyone is shouting, laughing. So if you hear any laughter from kids shouting, that's probably what that is. But yeah, everyone's having a good time here.
Enjoying the warmth, nice, and the sunshine. You gotta love it. How about you, Kay? How are you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. Happy Sunday, and excited to start the show today.
Yeah, same. And we'll get into it. We'll get a lot going. And a quick heads up, guys, we're gonna have a couple week hiatus later in the month, so just note that. But otherwise, we'll get things going today as usual. And first up, the disclaimer. Of course, this is not financial advice and shouldn't be taken that way. We're not financial professionals. This is all educational and entertainment purposes. We do like to share our trades with you guys and appreciate hearing your feedback and taking trade requests as well. So make sure you do send in your trade requests or ticker requests, and we'll pull them up on some charts and take a look at what we've got. But then we also have our usual lineup for the week to go through, you guys. So we'll get into those as well. And I think with that, I should just jump over. What do you think, guys? Get those charts going?
Yep.
All right, let's do this. So we had a mixed bag last week, some red, but then also some notable names, pretty green, like on the bottom left corner there with Apple and Nvidia. I noticed ExxonMobil was green, so the energy sector was kind of getting my attention. Nice little bounce there. So towards the end of the week.
Did we lose Nate?
Did we lose volume there? I think we might have done.
Yes. Okay, so we'll cover while Nate pulls back up.
So do you want to cover the SaaS stocks, because they took a bit of a beating, didn't they?
Yeah, they got really beaten up, especially, and I see a couple requests on CRM and Crowd, so we are covering CRM in one of our charts today. Crowd we'll cover the other one as well. But yeah, last week was all about SaaS companies. Most companies got beaten pretty bad, but on Friday they came back. We had a 20% drop on CRM. We saw UiPath. It was a disaster and debacle for UiPath. I actually did not get a chance to track Okta, but I know Okta was also down.
What got me? Indeed,
yeah. You're back. Good.
What got me was Marvell. Marvell sold off after earnings last week, and I don't think I see it on our heat map here. But we keep seeing these names in the chips not doing great. So I'm curious if we're going to see more of that. Like I think we've got I just lost it. We got a couple more chips names coming up in the next week or two. So I'm really going to start paying attention to that. Sorry to interject and get my mic back there. Okay.
No worries. I think we were trying to figure out. Last week was all about SaaS.
SaaS.
Yeah, and most of the SaaS companies had a pretty rough week. Friday we did see a bounce, especially in the CRM side.
Yeah.
But I'm not convinced yet. It could be like a flash in a pan, and we could see further downside next week. But more to come on that later. So
I think that the charts are going to be interesting there. So let's definitely work our way towards them. We had these are all negative numbers here for our favorite ETFs or tickers here that we're tracking for the broader markets. So SPY being down about a half point, QQQ over 1% down, and diamonds keep dropping. DIA keeps dropping, which is not my favorite because it's one of my largest long-term holdings. And then small caps, right? 205. I feel like we could tattoo this number with IWM next to it at this point. We've been at 205 forever. And Bitcoin hanging around 67, which I think is actually good if you're a Bitcoin fan. It's not selling back off, right? It's kind of trying to get back to 70. So decent overall. And then, Kay, you noted here we've got the jobs numbers coming out.
A couple job numbers. Joel's job numbers are coming out, and then the initial jobless claims will be coming out. So, those are not big events, but those are like some events that will lead up to the next inflation read, and then I don't know when is Jerome Powell speaking again. I don't remember the date, but all these are like additions to that meeting, that build up. So definitely, if you are trading, you should watch these events, how it unfolds, and kind of like wrap your heads around it.
I feel like the jobs numbers are getting more important too, because it's like the only thing that people, well, not the only thing, but something people are waiting to, see some weakness or have it unravel. And it's just not been doing that. So
Yeah.
it's been interesting.
Yeah.
Sean, what's your take on this neutral status we're maintaining for the fear and greed? VIX is still a 12 handle on it.
I think it's quite promising, to be honest with you. I mean, having it kind of in the middle of the park, and obviously SPY kind of hovering around all-time highs with a good day Friday, which I'm sure we'll get into just in a second. But I quite like it around neutral, to be honest with you. And I don't really have too many strong feelings towards it, but it could go either way, of course. But I like it to go up, you know me. So yeah, I'm looking for greed, extreme greed in the next few months, of course. But we'll see what happens.
Well, neutral allows us, right, to get in there and get some buyers in there. So that is nice, and especially after the pullback we've had. So let's definitely take a look at that. Also, while we're getting into these charts, we're going to start, going through the usual routine. Make sure you send in your ticker requests. Keep them coming in. We got a few coming in, and we'll take a look at those towards the end. So appreciate you guys throwing those out there. We get a lot of great ideas. And it's been helpful. I mean, we've literally gotten some ideas on our radar that we didn't have before. Oh, yeah, earnings, though, before we get to that. Earnings is winding down, but we have a few names this week. I know Neo's squarely on your list there, Sean.
It is, but it hasn't actually been announced as unless it has, and I completely missed it. In which case, I'm very excited for that. Yeah, but I didn't actually realize it got released as a date, so I'll have to double check into that.
I've got Thursday before the open here. That's interesting, right?
Yeah, but I don't think they've actually released anything on their website. But
Gotcha.
We'll see when it comes around.
And then Kay, we've got GitLab on Monday, right?
Yeah, that's one of the tickers we are covering in my section today. We also have CrowdStrike. That's one of the requests. Apart from that, I'm actually looking at Lululemon. It's one of those names that nobody talks about it, but it's like keeps making higher highs. They have a very strong brand loyalty. And then you have some other names here and there, but I would say those are the main ones.
Winding down a bit.
Just on Lululemon, higher highs is definitely not the case because they are really selling off recently. It's actually possibly an opportunity. Maybe we could bring that up as maybe an audience request from ourselves. Just
I like it.
The chart.
Yeah. All right.
Like
pretending I'm in the audience temporarily, but sorry to cut you off there.
No, it's great. I actually have not been tracking Lululemon. It was at the start of the year. It made an all-time high of $500, and I didn't realize it was down to $293. I don't track that stock often, but
there you go.
Wow. Okay.
But for me, I'm looking at ChargePoint as well. I know it's one of those kind of smaller penny stocks, but I'm kind of interested to see what their plans, what their actions are, because they've been really struggling, should we say, in the last couple of years. So I'll be listening to that earnings call on the channel as well. So that'll be interesting to hear.
Good stuff. Well, it should be a action-packed week despite the kind of lighter earnings here. And I'm interested to see where we go this week, guys. Getting right to the charts, the SPY, right? So what's highlighted here is we had our previous high back in what was that, end of March or heading into April, and then had the period selling off after we had that big Thursday, crazy red candle, and recovered all that nicely. And then a couple weeks ago had the big Thursday candle again, and we've been selling off. But Friday, I mean, Sean, what do you think about this candle, right? Huge lower wick here and back above this prior high. To me, this looks like a retest. Classic.
Yeah, it is. It's also quite a promising candle in a way as well, because you've got that huge lower wick, as you just mentioned. But the way it actually panned out on the Friday as well, it was kind of selling off as normal. The momentum was quite poor. But then all of a sudden, the last hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, it just took off. And that's where that whole white section is coming from in that candle. So sometimes you have to kind of dive down to smaller time frames just to kind of really analyze how it happened, because that could have sold off for first hour and gone up for the rest of the day. But in this case, it was one of those kind of almost like panic buying to a certain extent. But yeah, we've reclaimed that 524 level and just excited to see if we can get back up to 533. But yeah, good candle, but I think we need a couple more just to kind of cement that kind of bounce, I guess, is what we could say.
It's interesting action. You think the same, Kay?
Yeah, I think the same. And the funny thing I want to talk about is on 531, the put to call ratio, we had 1.5 million put options versus only 654K call options. So the put to call was 2.43. Now for next week, which is Friday, it's 2.09. So it's definitely lower. You have about 352K put options and 169K call options. So generally, these are higher numbers are always there because SPY is one of the most traded, options in the sector. But I do see that there's a little bit more bullish sentiment going into next week, especially next Friday expiration.
There you have it. Yeah, I think that was a nice bounce. We had the 50-day, by the way. That's what this blue line is here, and got close to it. And then those buyers, like you mentioned, Sean, just kind of came in and powered through the end of the day. So, yeah, feeling bullish through the end of this coming week, it sounds like, Kay, with the as far as the options are speaking.
Absolutely. Compared to what we had last week, definitely looking much more bullish.
This huge hinge up on RSI too is notable. I mean, we got one recently and it just continued to sell off. So that's, nothing's guaranteed, but sometimes you get these hinges up like this and then it continues to run, right? So I think that's worth watching as well. See if SPY continues to make the move higher after this, little brief selling.
There's a bit of volume there as well for a Friday.
Oh, yeah.
It's quite impressive, yeah.
Yeah, there was some good volume. I did not even, note that, but yeah, that's a double the volume the rest of the week, right? In a short amount of time. So anyways, yeah, that's a good call. All right. So the Qs, of course, are next, and we got some 3-point fib levels here, but the same kind of setup off of the, this is the 50 here in the blue, nice volume shelf, didn't quite get to it. And we have the huge, lower candle and buying that stepped in above the 20-day, which is crossed above the 50-day simple moving average. So nice bullish sign in the near term. So I think tech could continue to lead us higher. It's a red candle for the day, which is interesting to note, but the volume was massive as well here, Sean. So what do you think about the Qs?
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting red candle. That from when I was doing my learnings back in the day for kind of trading, they always mentioned that this type of candle could actually be seen as a white candle because of the nature of the candle, if that makes sense. So it's obviously come all the way down to the bottom of that wick and then been pushed back up towards the end of the day. Yes, it's not green, but it's not that red either. You have to take in other factors as well. Kind of looking through the chart, you've got that level of 446. You can see kind of back through March, February sort of time, there's acted as quite a lot of resistance. So you can kind of see where the buyer's philosophy was to kind of basically buy it on Friday.
Yeah.
So obviously you've got the volumes shelf there as well on the screen that you can see. So there's other reasons that this could have been bought up, and obviously that's how I kind of read the chart. I don't know if you guys feel the same. But yeah, much the same feelings for SPY. Need a couple of a couple more days like this, and then the trend basically continues in my eyes.
Yeah, we think.
So no similar sentiments. I think that level 446 is what I would definitely want to watch. Considering there's nothing major event happening next week, we might see some sideways trading in this range of 446, 455. So if you are playing daily options on QQQ or SPY, this could be an opportunity as well.
Nice. Good stuff, guys. And shout out to the audience out there. You guys sending in those tickers. Keep them coming. Yeah, I got a fellow Nate out there. Nice to see it. Also see Sebastian. That's good to see Sebastian back. All right, guys. Let's keep it going. Let's get into some charts for some tickers. And I'm going to hand it to you, Sean, for NEO. I'm excited to hear what you got to say.
Our resident EV expert.
It's nice to see those familiar faces coming back week after week, but we really appreciate it. So yeah, keep coming back, and hopefully we can keep providing some value for you. So yeah, fantastic. NEO, wow. Okay, where do I start? So we basically got some delivery numbers yesterday, obviously being the first of the month of June, and you can see basically I want to say down the bottom left corner the orange bars is this year's deliveries, and you can see the last 4 months or so. Obviously increasing. So really good news. We set a really good kind of record delivery month. I keep saying I don't work for them. They set a really good delivery month, record delivery month, sorry, and they over 200%, I think, on last year. You can kind of see that reflected on the chart as well. So really good news. Hopefully this trend can obviously continue. June tends to be a bit higher than May generally. So that'd be interesting to see if we can actually get another record-breaking month in terms of deliveries. And the reason I'm kind of focused on deliveries here is obviously because deliveries bring in revenue for the company, of course. Now, looking at the chart, you can kind of see really good kind of end to the week. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, those kind of white candles coming back up to this channel that I've drawn here. The channel is quite dimmed because I kind of didn't want to highlight it too much. But you can kind of see where that channel is kind of forming. It could also be called a bull flag, which, of course, is kind of a typical pattern within trading. Basically, all I'm looking for is basically a break of that kind of trend line / this resistance point we're at of 540. And with this brilliant news of the record deliveries, blah, 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 and all the other stuff they've got going on, more partnerships, etc., with their charging network, it's really exciting. And I think we can basically blast straight through that on Monday trading. Obviously, if you've got to trade this or, put money into this at all, then just be careful with it, because it is a very volatile stock. You can see that on the chart now.
Yeah, sure.
So just do be warned with that. I will kind of wrap this up now, and I've been talking a little bit about NEO as I normally do. But yeah, a nice move above this kind of trend line / resistance, come back down and retest it, and then make a move towards that kind of gap fill, which you can see right in the top left corner there, that little circle there, which is about 715, which from here, that's a pretty good percentage, which I haven't marked. I've only marked the 20% up to where the top of the arrow is for no apparent reason. But you can see it's more than 20%. I want to stop talking now. What do you guys think of this chart?
I like the chart. What do you think, Kay?
I like the chart, and as usual, your put to call is 0.37 for next week since it's reporting earnings. And the call options are not that expensive. Like a $6 strike price is like $17-18 you can purchase.
Yeah, that's not bad at all, especially if it does get running. It could just blast right through there, like you said, Sean. And I like the bull flag. I'm glad you called that out, because that's definitely what I'm seeing here. So it doesn't guarantee a breakout, but it sets up for it, right? That's what we're talking about. Nice trading setup. Yeah, and like to see it holding if you can hold here and then break out, it'll form that higher low, which is obviously huge. So yeah, I'm excited to see it. I think this could be a good week for NEO. But the chart, looks set up really nicely for a trade here
for the breakout. Yeah.
No, I'm very excited, actually. Yeah.
Nice. All right, keeping it going.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's move on. So this next one for me is a bit different. I haven't brought up Applied Materials at all. Ticker symbol AMAT. Nice. I think both of you actually have. So I think
it's long time back, bro.
It's my time to show off the chart.
There we go.
And we can see basically Friday's price action, as we mentioned before, with the spiral QQQ chart. Really aggressive buying towards the end of the day. And the reason I brought this one up is because it's got a very solid zone, should we say, that 213 to 215 level. It kind of fought right back up, bounced off the 50 moving average and the 20 moving average, as you can kind of see roughly on Friday. So there's lots of points of confidence there, lots of reasons to get excited about this possible move back up to 225. I'm going to keep this one very simple, very short. It's basically a retest of the resistance, a little bit more of a dramatic way, but the candle has finished very, very well in my eyes. So yeah, I'm looking for 225 in the coming weeks, I guess.
I like it. I've been a huge fan of Applied Material, and actually added to the position when it sold off on earnings earlier this year. So yeah, happy to see it's been recovering nicely and moving higher. So I would love to see it take off from here. It looks like a classic setup of retesting prior resistance, Sean, like you're saying. So get in on the retest. It is a bit dramatic, I agree, but it looks like a nice setup again. Like two really nice setups you presented this week.
It's also a big volume as well, just before we start talking about it. I didn't realize that until just now. So, yeah, that's what we like to see.
If you zoom out on the weekly or even on the daily, right, this is a very nice chart in general. Like it's a nice higher high, like a ladder it's going up. It's not like taking a vertical takeoff like some of those stocks. So
yeah, look at some monthly charts and some of the chip names, or like NVIDIA or what have you, and you'll see some vertical action. This one's a little more reasonable, but still great returns, like really good returns. Good stuff. Anything else to add here, Sean?
No, I think we covered it. Yeah, we've got all the points there.
Nice.
Yeah, and you can see I've changed my profile picture. It's from black and white. So that's where you can find me. You can find me on Twitter. I have thread every Monday now. And then on YouTube, I'm going live twice this week. I'm going to do one, which is like an opportunity finding stream on Wednesday before market open. And then Wednesday after the close, I'll be doing the charge point earnings as well. If anyone's interested in that, then obviously do stop by. But you can also catch it on post-recording. That's it for me this week. I'll hand you over to Nate.
Nice. Thanks, Sean. Good stuff. I like the new profile pic. It's solid, looking good. All right, so I brought up Occidental OXY first and foremost. I think energy is kind of interesting, but Kay, this is actually more for you, sir, because look at this channel, and I'm thinking that selling cash secured puts and covered calls might be really good here. The channel, it goes back in time. Like it's been trading sideways for a while. I just kind of zeroed in here on the last, less than a year, even just close to a year. And so my thoughts are, we got a nice bounce right in the middle of this channel that was prior resistance, similar theme to what you were showing on your chart, Sean, and bouncing right off of 61, call it. And if it continues to move higher, maybe selling puts right around 61 or so. Would be a pretty decent move because of this sideways action. What are your thoughts on that, Kay?
100%. I think if you notice that we haven't really covered energy in the last maybe 2 months or so, because energy prices have just been off the roof, especially with ExxonMobil hitting 120. So I think this definitely presents a good opportunity if you have some energy exposure and you want to build that. I think this is always a good opportunity to kind of rotate into Oxy and even those other names like ExxonMobil and stuff. So I definitely am going to be looking back into Oxy and maybe open few contracts here.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that because I feel like it's a decent spot here. RSI is now hinging up after selling off pretty steadily. And if this bounce holds and continues back higher, it could be pretty decent. And then once we get to the top of that channel around 67, if you have 100 shares, you want to consider selling covered calls. It's been in this channel for a while. It might just sell back off. So I think it's interesting, and usually the premiums are okay here for Oxy. What do you think about the chart, Sean? Anything jumping off the page to you?
Yeah, just potential kind of trend line break as well. I mean, it could be just about in motion now. If you drew a line from obviously the peak of the screen at the top of the kind of 15th of April-ish, all the way down to kind of where we are now, just playing that pattern back up to kind of where you said before, $67. Just getting back up to there and just taking probably the whole position, just because, like you said, it's kind of a range bounding stock at the moment. You might be able to keep a little bit on the table if it was to go through 67 and go up to kind of 70-ish, etc.
Right.
But yeah, I think just looking at the chart visually, that you can kind of see straight away that trend line to be broken for me.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good call. It's not quite like a bull flag because it's a little bit more narrow and longer. It's more like a pullback than anything. But I like the support in the middle here. So
still higher highs, good though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
My only take here is that the bid-ask spread, if you are going to open options contract, is pretty wide. You might struggle with some premium here and there. So if you are interested in Oxy as a CSP or wheel strategy, I think you got to keep that in mind.
Yeah,
so the bid is 91, the ask is 140.
Gotcha.
That's a $50.
That's pretty widespread there. Yeah. So what? And are you looking at the monthlies by chance? Because what I was going to mention is, there'll be weeklies that trade, and usually the volume's lighter. So if you're out there looking for options and you're like, it's just the spread is really wide, maybe go to the monthlies and look and see. So they're like 1 week of every month is the monthly expiration, right?
Yeah. So I think that's let's say if you're doing a monthly, which is that's a 33 days out on 5th July.
Okay.
You have $67 spread.
So still pretty wide.
Yeah, pretty wide. Yeah, and the open interest is not there yet. It's like 13, 15, 200 open interest.
Okay, so maybe more of a trade to the upside than a selling for premium just because of those spreads. But yeah, and if you're looking at shares, $60 a share is not a bad spot here. But again, it's been sideways for a long time. So I think that's enough about Oxy. Energy is definitely interesting, by the way, overall, kind of getting a bounce off of some support here. So keep an eye on the sector. And then industrials, right? I mentioned diamond selling off. So I've been kind of looking for some opportunities. Some of the names do not look good, right? Like a little too choppy and volatile, but Caterpillar looks pretty nice here, pulling back. It is trending down in the near term since, it's March high. But back at support or prior resistance and has been support. So if we can get a bounce here at 338, call it 338.50, and continue higher, then I'd be looking for this trend line to break. And that's actually where I'd be really interested in getting into an upside trade. I think if we bounce here, it could just continue to tighten up into this little bit of a wedge pattern. And so I wouldn't be too bullish until it breaks above this upper trend line, but I do think that there could be an interesting opportunity here for Caterpillar to continue, moving higher. It's definitely got a lot of things going for it on the chart here, as far as nice gradual climb, nice kind of orderly sell-off here. So, what do you think about this one, Sean? Are you interested in the chart here for Caterpillar?
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing the stock when I first started doing this about 4 years ago, and it's about 150 or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen it since, to be quite honest with you, because I'm looking at it now thinking, wow, what a move.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you say, the chart, you said it kind of in a nutshell, when you kind of trading within a wedge. It's just kind of basically waiting for the break outside of the wedge for at least my trading style. So yeah, nothing too much to add. Maybe if it was to kind of break down below this level 334, looking at that kind of 150 moving average. I know some people probably have 200 moving averages on their chart.
Sure.
So having a look at that level to come back down would be an even better place in my eyes to add to long position or even start a position.
Yeah, you'd be getting near that
stop building.
You'd be getting near that 300 psych level too, right? That's
Oh,
right
exactly,
around
yeah.
there. Yeah, so that's a decent spot right there if we did get some selling. Are you ever trade this one, Kay? You interested in Caterpillar?
I have not traded it actually. It was part of my dividend portfolio a long time, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
did sell it off, moved it into 3M, and 3M hasn't performed either. So
Do you hate it when that happens? Yeah, CAT is the ticker, you guys, and for you guys out there listening. And I've always had interest in Caterpillar, and I don't know if the options, volume is always there, and the spreads might be a little wider. But as far as like overall chart and trading the action, it's pretty nice and orderly here, and I'm looking for another move for more upside. So keep an eye on Caterpillar for sure, for both the long term and short term. And yeah, right at the 100 simple moving average as well. Good call for Caterpillar. So, yep, it'll be interesting to see what it does here if we can get a bounce. And those are my two for this week. You can find me a little bit less on X these days, a little busy, but Traders Education is my newsletter that I publish, and the audio recording of today's session will be on there as well for all the subscribers. So if you haven't gone to Substack yet and subscribed, you check out a Traders Education. I appreciate it. And then I also write for Wolf Financial. So a shout out to Wolf if you're tuned in on the live stream on X. Wolf Financial is definitely one of the best. So shout out to those guys, and again to you in the audience for sending the ticker requests. We got DraftKings to look at, you guys, so I'm happy about that. All right.
I thought you might be.
we haven't covered drafting in a long time, actually.
Yeah, well, I have, and I'm going to tell you, it's not been pretty recently, but definitely worth looking at. So we'll take a look. But Kay, what do you got this week? I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks. Appreciate it. So today we are going to cover two stocks. One, reported earnings, which is CRM. So I'm not going to spend too much time because I do have a video coming out on CRM. So I go into much more detail. But bottom line, what has happened is they reported earnings last Wednesday after close. It dipped 20%. Primary reason was that this company is moving from more of a growth model to focusing on profitability. So you're looking at a single digit growth. And that's why you see this massive gap down that happened. But generally, in notice, like UiPath reported earnings, similar thing happened. Okta reported earnings, similar thing happened. So this is a general trend that is we are seeing in SaaS companies. And we again on Friday we saw some massive buying in coming in because there's a lot of options volume, not options volume, but a very strong buying at 220 level. You can see that volume shelf, and that's why we saw 7%, buying on Friday itself. Now, does that mean that the stock is out of the woods yet? I don't know. I'm still targeting 220 to see if it was just a flash in the pan on Friday or would it sustain. But as you can see, I've been saying this for a long time. Those gaps, they do get filled at some point in time. Every time you have a gap up or a gap down, maybe two earnings later, you will see that filling up. So the rectangle that I have drawn here is that's the level that I would want to see the stock, go above. and actually get back to the 242, that's where the volume starts to build up. Otherwise, if it gets rejected, then you couldn't see a further downside, and maybe 200 would be a good psychological level to start opening a position or start building DCAing it. Now, if you're an investor and you're not actually trading this, I would say every time you see these kind of big drops, start, dollar cost average, do weighted dollar cost average. You won't get the bottom and you won't sell at the top. So, keep that in mind and make it average. That's pretty much my read on this one. What do you guys think?
Sean, you first.
Yeah, I think that level of 242, 245 area would be kind of where I'd be looking at for a possible short. That makes sense. So kind of a short range short, just because you've got those moving averages kind of come down in time for that. I mean, obviously, that probably had a few trading days extra for that to come down, but that might play in contention with that as well. But that basically that 242, 245 level is the one that I'm looking at for a short. But I wouldn't be going on anything long on this just yet.
Yeah, I think that your points about the gap down being filled, K, is interesting. And there's been some charts where you gap down one earnings, kind of trade sideways and start pulling up, and then it gaps right back up to where it was, or if not higher. And those, I'm not saying that's going to happen here necessarily, but if it did, that would be extremely bullish, because what happens there, right, is you get right back up to the price level where all that overhead supply is, and then just continues higher. So those people don't feel necessarily like this need to just sell out and break even. They see the momentum, and then that huge gap up is encouraging. And then so if we get that kind of pattern, you tend to see it continue higher. Conversely, the other way around also tends to work, right? If you gap up and then gap down. So it could be a very interesting spot for Salesforce. I feel like there's some names going quote unquote on sale here. So this is definitely an interesting spot. So you said you're going to wait though to see how it holds up around 220. I think that's smart.
Yeah. I mean, even if I want to, before I open a trade, I would want to see that. But 220 is what I'll be targeting as my strike price. And I talk about this in my video as well, which will be published tomorrow, Monday. And then if something changes, unless, we see a massive sell-off again at these levels, which I don't see it's going to happen, then maybe the strike price might change. But again, the 220 looks as a good spot to either dollar cost average or build a new position.
Good stuff. All right, let's keep it going.
Yeah. Next one is GitLab. They report I think on Monday after close, so you may want to again, if you notice this season, I'm not trading any earnings. I'm trading after the earning has happened, especially in the SaaS space. If you follow SaaS space, you're noticing a similar trend. Companies are reporting that the sales cycle is longer. And this is not by design, or this has been in making for since last year. Now I was in the SaaS space before, so I was seeing this live, playing out for my company and all the other software companies, and this is exactly what these companies are reporting. So same with the GitLab here. This stock is, again, we see massive sell-off, and unlike the other ones where we saw some buying in on Friday, we didn't see much buying in going on. They did lose this the 48 level, which I'm a little concerned. But then this is also something like, maybe you're setting up the expectation so low that once they beat it, you might see a gap up. But I'm not going to play that. I will wait for the earnings to play out and then eventually see how, whether if I want to add to my position or just completely stay out. But I don't like falling knife. I want to wait to see stabilize, especially with the earnings on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
It's too volatile at this point in time.
Yeah, I feel like 50 here could be, 40. This level it's at right here, just below 50, could be a little bit of a psych level because of the prior resistance that was there. But I think I would be way more interested at 60 if it gets above 60 here and this resistance, because it really rejected there pretty hard, and now it's making lower lows. So
and earnings coming up, and they might report the same, that hey, sales cycle is taking longer for our customers. Again,
it's been this, like you said, it's been the kind of trend. So it's a wait and see for me for sure. But if there is a surprise or guidance is strong or something, and you see it move above 60, I would definitely get more bullish on the trading. That's just how I'm looking at this chart.
Yeah, I think for me, the two key levels, and we both kind of touched them loosely there, 60 and 40. Simple as that. Wait
40.
for earnings to play out. And if we can get below 40, which, the implied move you've got up there is 7%. So either way, it's kind of thereabouts, obviously a few percent here or there. But if it dips below 40, then I'd be looking for obviously a further short, maybe a retest of 40, obviously come back up and then back down. And then obviously likewise with the 60, come back up, come back down, retest it and move up higher.
Right.
But yeah, we'll see. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean the one way you can play it is if you already have a position at a higher cost basis, and let's say it drops drastically, you can definitely buy into lower your cost basis, but that's only if you have a position.
Yeah, good call. Interesting chart, Kay. I'll be curious to see how it goes Monday.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you can definitely find me on Twitter or X. I do post regularly. I'm not saying I post daily, but yeah, you can find me there. YouTube, a couple videos coming out on CRM. I'll be posting that out on tomorrow in the evening, and then on Substack, I'll be publishing out the UI path analysis for the stock decline. So definitely definitely subscribe to both if you are interested in the SaaS space.
Good stuff.
It's the old CEO's coming back, wasn't it? The Path, is that right?
Yeah, Path, yeah. Ticker symbol Path.
Nice.
It's obviously fed up with how it's run and coming back to save the world.
Nice. All right, guys. Well, I think we should get over to some ticker requests. We got a lot coming in. If you can help me out with them so I don't miss anything.
Yeah, sure. Let's start from the beginning. So we covered CRM. I think next one is CrowdStrike.
I think we can do that. All right, looks like it's coming through pretty nice. Maybe I can shrink it up just a little bit. All right, so CrowdStrike. Talk to me, Sean. What do you see?
Well, you come at me very hot there. But
I did.
An ascending channel. You can see obviously like higher highs ish and higher lows definitely. So it's definitely moving in the right direction. Possibly looking for a break below that. But I would probably have to see. You can see two very volatile moves around. I'm guessing that's earnings.
These dotted lines here are earnings. So we're heading right into earnings this week. Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it this week? Is it? Wow.
Yeah, 6/4. It's on Tuesday.
Okay, I'll probably wait to the earnings then, definitely for sure. See what happens there. If you can make higher highs, then what I'll be looking for is a retracement backwards down to kind of what is the high there? Probably 360-ish. Yeah. Oh, I nailed that.
360.
Shoot above that, come back down to 360, and probably push up to further highs, and just raising the stop loss as the trade moves higher. And obviously, if it breaks, it breaks. That's trading at the end of the day. And if it goes lower, then same thing.
Yeah, Kay, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I think it's similar to what Sean is saying. I would wait for the earnings, though they have never missed an earnings since 2019. And we have an up revision of 32 up revision, 0 down revision. So definitely looks good. The problem now is going to be if they never miss an earning, which means that what's going to be the guidance that they will report. So I would wait, especially the last two sell-offs. Like those are like very strong, heavy bars of sell-off, right?
Yeah.
I would want to wait earnings and see how, because it could come down to 282. Right, that's where you had a little bit of a support level at 288, 282, something like that. So I would definitely want to wait.
You guys look at this. I'll take off the earnings because it's kind of blocking it. But look at the volume down here. It's doubled up on these two big red candles.
Yeah,
so
it's not your usual sell-off, right? Like slow sell-off. It's like two heavy bars of sell-off. So I would want to wait.
Yeah, that's notable. So for me, I'm kind of similar with what Sean was saying with respect to looking for the higher lows to continue. And if we get maybe poor guidance on earnings and it does, drop below this April 19th low of about 280, what do we have here? 280, called 280 even, but it's really 280.88. But anyways, that's right around the 150-day moving average. And that will be an interesting spot. If it breaks below that, the trend could be reversing. But more what I'm hoping for is that we hold that trend line and continue to try to get above 360 and push to 400. But definitely want to see what comes through with earnings. I wouldn't get involved just because of these red candles leading into it. It's just a little tough to discern what that means. All right, what else we got, guys? What's after crowds?
Next is TIGR. I've never heard of this one.
All right, Up FinTech Holding Company, UP. And that's an interesting pattern here. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Look at that descending trend line.
Yeah.
All those peaks. Look at that. It's almost perfect.
Yeah. So it keeps rejecting here. What's interesting is it looks like it's trying to hold up instead of just, selling back off to make a lower low. And
they report earnings as well, by the way.
Oh, do they? Yes. Let's get those back on here. So there you go. Yeah, earnings coming in. Is that also on the
it's on 5th. It's on 5th.
Okay,
so 3 days, Wednesday, I guess.
Yeah. So that's interesting as well. This trend line, if it breaks, exactly what Sean pointed out, if we get strong earnings or positive guidance and get above this trend line, and when I say above it, I mean with some good volume and substantially above it, right? Because if you just get mildly above it, you can see here maybe we just reject the following day. But yeah, I would be looking for a break of that trend before I got too bullish. It is looking like there could be some interest here just based on the last week, but not enough to get too crazy with yet. The volume shelf though does kind of pop out here.
I think one note on this one as well. It's a smaller stock in terms of value, so obviously the percentage gains are higher generally. So just be careful with the volatile nature of these smaller cost stocks.
And also keep in mind that the put to call, the options, this is a monthly option. They don't have weekly options, so I wouldn't worry too much about the option here. I mean, the put to call is 0.09 for 719.
All right, noted. We got team as well, right?
Yeah, that's the Atlassian. Let's see.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Oh wow, that's a falling knife. Here you go.
Okay. Yeah. Say more, Kay. Say more.
I again, man, I don't want to touch the stock until I see some kind of a support, because it just keeps falling. And they did report earning on 425, so they are not reporting anything anytime soon. I don't know why it's dropping this way, why there's a continued sell-off. But if you notice, the volume has really picked up in the last 4 days. And I don't know why the volume is picking up, because earning was on 425. So the volume should be pretty stable. And there's a continued sell-off. Maybe there might be a news. Let me see.
Yeah, this is almost a definition of a falling knife. So hard to step in if you're already in, and you're trying to make heads or tails of what you're doing here. If it's a buy, there's no real level here to really discern. I mean, we're below these lows here around 161 from back in 22. So for me, this is a still wait and see. And if hopefully we can find some footing around 150 where this or 145 where this other volume shelf pops in.
Yeah, I think I would wait, even if you have a position, unless you dollar cost average, like slowly nibbling it.
Right.
But if you are trying to open a new position, I would wait to not even touch it until we see some kind of a trend here.
Yeah, makes sense. Hopefully that's helpful, you guys. All right, let's see.
Hang on.
Next up,
you forgot me. I'm joking.
Oh, Sean, sorry.
The other thing for me is the RSI, very low. If it keeps going lower, if it gets down to 15, 10, then that's when the eyes start turning for me. Probably not on this stock, so I don't really care about it too much. But if it was a stock that I looked at quite a lot and it got down to 10, 15 RSI, that's when I'd be really looking at the stock. Purely from a technical basis, especially on a daily chart. I know, Kate, you like that kind of thing as well. Very low RSI on the daily chart.
Yeah, good catch there, Sean.
All right, next one is Nate, your favorite one, Snow.
Yeah.
Oh my god! And if you notice, Atlassian, team, and this have a similar trend.
Yeah.
Okay. This is terrible. This is so bad.
I love it. Happens. You try all those, you draw the arrows, and it just goes complete opposite way. I've had that so many times.
It's the worst. You're like, look, it could do this, and it's like, no, I'm not doing anything like that at all. We're gonna go lower. So the bad news was snow, and believe me, you won't find anybody who wants snow to do better than me. But this little kind of area here around 140 that was holding as a low from the end of last year was broken through at the end of last week. And this is another one of those where, the volume with the selling, even after earnings, it's continuing to be pretty high. So not great getting below those levels. And now at 136, unless, you're looking at this as a buying opportunity, which Kay, you might see exactly as that. I mean, was that where your head's getting or not yet?
Yeah, but but last earnings when it dipped all the way, I think around the 160 mark, I actually did open a CSP at 140, expiring in July. So I had to roll that to September because I was getting closer to that.
Yeah.
Now it's below 136. I mean, even though I've got, I think, over $1,000 on the premium, so I would say it was 130 would be my cost basis. I would probably roll it again.
Just keep going.
Keep rolling until so I don't get assigned while collecting premium. But I might even open a new one if I see it, getting down to the 130 below. I might open another contract over there.
What do you think, Sean?
Same for me, just low RSI. Just looking at that, I've just noted that one down. This is a bit more of a more popular, I guess, stock for me to look at. So yeah, I've noted that down for coming days. See if it gets any lower. Currently at 29, I think.
Yeah.
So if it gets down below 20, I'll be looking at this one for sure.
Yeah, it's just been it could be a really great opportunity, especially for the long term. But it's been a rough ride recently for sure. All right, what's next, guys?
AMD.
AMD. Talk about rough charts. So while the semiconductor sector is like making new highs and a bunch of names, AMD is having a little bit of a harder time. I don't have a lot of annotations here, actually. Do you have initial thoughts on this, Kay?
Yeah, so if you notice, 163.24 has become like a nice support level for the stock. And the last bar on Friday was, what is that, a doji candle almost like a,
Yeah.
right? So generally doji candle represents that there's it's undecided on
Well,
which
it's got a longer lower wick, so I would give this a bullish lean. But
bullish.
yeah,
Okay.
open and closed at the same spot, but got a nice bounce off of the 20-day.
So if it can hit the 176 level, that's where a volume shelf picks up.
Yep. So what that's going to do is there's going to be this overhead supply where some people might want to sell to get out and create some, sideways action or a rejection. But that's what Kay's getting at there, I think, right, Kay?
Yeah. So I have a couple contracts at 160, which are weekly. So hopefully, if they continue it, then it will expire worthless, and I'll be happy to collect the premium.
Yeah. Sean, are you trading AMD?
I'm not. No, it's one of those stocks that just doesn't agree with me. Whatever I do, it just does
Wasn't
the
Sean
opposite.
trading at $150? He was supposed to buy that. Never bought it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we won't go there. But it's like you with Zoom, mate. It's just this doesn't work for me. That's all.
Yep, there's those
Every
names.
time I think, oh yeah, this is definitely going to happen for AMD, and then it just does the opposite. But what I would say is it's a nice little setup now, like you say, with the candle that was produced on Friday, looking basically just to get back to 180, which is not a bad trade even from here if you're feeling a little bit fruity to get back up there. That's where I'd be looking at, but I'm not doing it. No way.
So, yeah, I think that getting above 180 would be ideal, right? Because we had that resistance here, broke above, and then quickly sold way off. The 150-day looks like pretty decent support there. So, yeah, if we could get something where, we get this number above, and then, we would want to buy right on that bounce right there, right? So
exactly, yeah,
right here. So that's what I'd be looking at too. Yeah, get above 180, retest it a little bit, and then try to move higher. That's when AMD is going to get really interesting. It's nice to see it break this downtrend though. So maybe we got something going with these higher lows and higher highs for me. Positive setup there.
All right, next one is your favorite, Palantir.
Ooh, I got a lot of favorites. Oh, yeah, this looks a little frustrating.
Bit of resistance.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too, Sean, right here at 22.22. having a hard time getting above, and that's also the 50-day moving average right there, providing some resistance. So here's another one of the arrows I drew that didn't go the way I wanted it to. Let's just remove that.
So, guys, I have a question
This
for you
was
on Palantir, actually.
What you got?
I want to open a position on Palantir. What would be a good, because just like Sean struggles with AMD, I struggle with Palantir here. It's like I just don't know what is a good position to level to get in to build a long-term position.
Well, this has been a nice climb. Just to zoom out real quick. You mentioned gap fills, Case. I'll jump in first and just say, like, maybe look for this gap to fill right here.
Okay.
All right. And oh wow, it's new colors. But yeah, down here between 18
to
yeah, this is really 18 to 20, and that could be decent because it'll give you a bounce likely off of the gap. And it's just been on such a nice run recently that it looks like it's getting, big volume spikes here, which might just continue and, hold this thing higher. So I don't know if we get huge drops, but it surprised me, honestly. I'm kind of surprised by this one.
It's becoming a bit more stable with the years that kind of move forward. They've signed another 480 million contract, I think, the other day with the Army.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's good news, at least for me. For me, Kay, it'll be around that $20 level mark, maybe just slightly higher, just because you've got a nice bit of support there in recent trading since middle of April. And you can see that quite clearly. And they're actually slightly higher, if you can kind of see the most recent lows there. And if you drew a line kind of from the highest point on the chart to kind of where we are now, a bit of a trend line. I know we broke it kind of probably late April, early May. I know we broke it slightly, but the original trend line kind of plays in there. So, I mean, you could say as much, now could be a time to get in. But for me personally, it'd be around about 20.
20, okay.
Whatever that support line is there.
Yeah. Nice.
Maybe slightly up, 2050-ish, I think, probably looking at it now. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, nice. All right, guys. Let's keep it going. Palantir has been an interesting one.
Flying through these charts.
Yeah, the next one is CMRE.
Ah, very nice. So someone's paying attention. Check out this chart. Boom.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I'm impressed. So Kusumari is one of the long-term positions I like to pay attention to. And I was just talking to my buddy about it. He mentioned it actually in March, and when he was doing the sideways action, and it's just consolidating. He's like, I don't know, man, this could be a good spot here if it's just going to move sideways for a bit. And then we didn't talk about it, and he literally mentioned it on Friday to me, and we pulled this up. So that's why I knew, like, oh, wait till you see this chart, because my goodness, what a run, right? I don't even know where you get in on a chart like this, to be honest. It's like you missed it, This is back here.
You missed it, yeah. I would not touch it.
One thing I would say is the RSI is currently very high.
Yeah, 90.91 almost. It's like there's no place for the RSI to run anymore.
It's like GME again.
That's an impressive run, right? So I think the transports, if I'm not mistaken, this is shipping. I should look it up. I'm being a little bit lazy. But yeah, this RSI being this high, probably going to give us an opportunity to pull back. And maybe this 20-day moving average is what gets touched, and that's your opportunity to get to buy in. If it gets down to a 50-day, test, then absolutely I would consider that a decent spot for a long-term position. But yeah, Kusumari really ripping here.
You're right. It's a container ship and dry bulk vessels.
Yeah, dry bulk. There you go.
Even at 1150 level, if it was to come all the way back down to there, you can see that's a very kind of popular point for resistance recently.
Yeah, this would be key. I mean, that would negate this whole run. It'd be so sad to see that, but it absolutely could happen.
Over time, yeah.
Sean, you mentioned zooming out to longer time frames and whatnot, and just to me, it really highlights things. Like, there's a monthly for that. Look at this monthly candle, right? Like, that's just incredible. And
okay, so if you but if you draw a trend line from the recent peak all the way back. If you go all the way back, doesn't matter where you were.
Doesn't want to cooperate. Sorry. So yeah, but
so 2014-ish. I don't know if it really counts if it's over like a decade, but the high of 2014, all the way down to where we are now. That's
basically, it's a nice trend line right there.
But would you play on that if it's like a decade-long trend line? Does it make it more cemented, or does it make it completely useless? Well, as I don't really know.
If we got a candle like this, I would consider that bullish. I would get very excited if this next month gets us above this trend line. I would think that this could just continue to be ridiculous. I don't know if we'll get huge months like this, like we had for May, but this is a really nice looking push. It was just an incredible run last month, though, so we might get a bit of selling. And if we do, I would want to see like 1350 hold up, maybe a little higher, 1375. Basically try to hold the top half of the monthly candle for May, meaning, people are taking profits but not giving it all back. Because if you look back here from March to April in 22, they gave it all back, and then it was like, all right, and the selling continued, right? So, this is the candle we want right here.
All right. Next up is RTX.
By the way, we're going to come back, and I want to see this white candle at the end of the month just perfectly fill this. That would be so amazing. All right,
you should put that on the watch. You have it on the watch list, so perfect.
Yeah, we'll leave it right there. Nice. All right, RTX. So defense has been making a move, as you can see here, and looks like we're getting to new highs, right? Maybe even new, I don't know if it's all-time highs, but definitely new 52-week highs. What are your thoughts on this one, Kay?
Oh, man, it's crazy. It's also going up. I don't know.
Everything's going up. It's a great time to be in the markets.
I mean, unless you have a position here, I wouldn't buy at these levels to initiate a position. But if I have one, I'll be happy to ride it along and maybe even take profits if I want to. But I wouldn't, generally when stocks are ripping higher, I tend to not add to my position, whether it's investing. From a trading standpoint, if I want to trade this, I would probably look at the 20-day moving average at 104.71.
Yeah.
Right. That would be also, but the problem is from an option standpoint, it doesn't give you great premiums for $100 stock.
Gotcha.
So definitely this is not an options heavy stock, so I wouldn't touch this one particularly. But from a share standpoint, I think maybe at a 20-day moving average, I would add position.
Yeah, you get the trend line right on the 52, so but it has broken above, so you might be right there that it doesn't quite test that, and maybe the 20 days would to look at. That makes some sense. Sean, you trade any defense names like RTX?
No, not at all, really. This is one of those that if you come to me in the middle of April, I would have got excited because price action would have been kind of hovering around that 102 level, and obviously looking at that kind of possible breakout trade you've got there from the previous high back in April 23. It came above it, came back down and retested it, went back up again and retested it again. And looks like it's kind of making a move upwards. And that's kind of what I like to see within a breakout trade, as a whole. Yes, it's not the most sexy stock. It's not the most percentage rewarding stock either. But if you can play that on leverage, that's the beauty of leverage. You can take leverage shares or options trading, as you mentioned. Well, not quite, but So that's a setup I like to look at. But obviously, it's gone. It's hit that, so I'm not really interested.
Gotcha. Yep, I like it. Gotta stay disciplined. What should we go to next?
Sebastian says GitLab had a very bad news hacker attack. So so they did have that. They did release the patch. These things are, I wouldn't worry too much. It's the regular stuff. Okta also had that last year. They survived. Next one is, do you want to cover
HIMS?
Yeah, HIMS is there.
Oh, you've got DraftKings as well, don't forget.
Oh yeah, we got to get to DraftKings. All right.
Yes.
Let's do HIMS and Kava. I saw that.
Didn't you cover HIMS, or did I cover HIMS sometime?
I covered HIMS a couple of times, yeah.
Okay.
What do you think about it, Sean?
Incredible business. They just do not stop growing. And the customer feedback is obviously key within the company generally, but their customer feedback is exceptional. And obviously that's only driving more customers through the door. So they're doing really well as a company, fundamentally very, very impressive, and the stock price is following. There's no reason to, kind of go either way. But yeah, a tricky one to look at to kind of get in, particularly these highs, but the way they've kind of created the highs as well, big days, big moves, It's one of those where you just kind of observe it. From my opinion, if you're already in a position, then just manage it. Keep bringing that stop loss up. Well, that'd be what I would do. Obviously, do what you want to do. But keep bringing up that stop loss. Practice risk management and just make sure you're making that money. Don't lose it all. Don't lose all these gains.
Yeah, this is one of those tickers that reminds me of like, and I'm not, again, this is not a prediction or anything. I don't know anything about the company really. But looking at the chart, sometimes you'll see a name and you're like, oh, it ran from, 650 all the way up to, already made it doubled, right? And it moved all the way up to 16 already and pulled back to the double at 12. Like, all right, it's made its run. Like, I'm not going to get involved here. But really what happens is these are truly growth names and revenue starts picking up. And it's more of an exponential growth pattern. And you'll just see this pattern could continue. But along the way, what I would be looking for if I wanted to get into this would be, all right, we had this big, huge move. And then you have profit taking, right? Because who's not taking profits when you buy in at 10 and it runs to 20, right? Like people are going to take profit. And so if this chops nicely down and we get something where, it's like, give us a little bit of selling and then boom, we retest this 1688, 17 level, that could be where, then it starts moving itself back up and then breaks above, this prior high and really gets going. So, I know it's kind of messy looking, but that's what I would be looking for is like this consolidation, selling off, getting back close to the prior resistance point, and then starting to churn higher. That would be where I'd want to get in. But anyways, that's all I have to say there. Okay, do you have anything else to add?
No, you covered it, man. I think we can probably cover DraftKings and...
All right. Getting close to the end of the hour here.
Yeah.
All right, DraftKings, look at this god-awful chart.
It's rough, isn't it? Really rough.
It is. It's a bit of a head and shoulders pattern, right? You got the left shoulder and the head and the right shoulder, right? And then it broke the neckline at 40.50, which was 40 was the spot that was holding nicely, and it gapped down when it broke through big time. So filled the gap that was lower and gave us a gap above. But I feel like 40 is the target to get back to first and foremost and see what happens there. But right now it's a bit of a falling knife. We're going to keep that theme going today.
I didn't see what caused this fall off. Did you?
I missed it. I did not see it either. If anybody knows and wants to put it in the chat, we'll take that info.
It could be a bit of an opportunity.
Yeah.
For the long term anyway. Because the stock's not going to go anywhere because obviously people will always gamble, unfortunately. But one to watch. I think another one there, I keep mentioning RSI tonight for some reason, but the RSI is quite low as well.
It is.
So that's another one to look out for.
Yeah, sub 30. So that could be interesting. Okay, are you looking at DraftKings at all?
No, man. I'm only with Mara.
I love it. Of the big names that I like to trade a lot, you definitely went after Mara, but no DraftKings. All right, noted.
So I think we got a response. Taxes went up in Illinois.
Oh, okay.
Some states will consider putting taxes on gambling. Maybe that's the reason, probably.
Oh, that's interesting.
Damn taxes.
Well, they need their cut, right? They need their share.
It's funny, you'll get a lot of people get upset about the taxes and then complain, and then the game will roll around on Sunday, and you're like, well, I got to get my bets in, So,
yeah.
There's one thing I think that DraftKings has going for it is there's no shortage of people wanting to utilize their services. So I guess back to the chart, I would say look for it to stop dropping first. Hopefully 32 is as low as it gets if it gets that low. And then I would be looking for a march back to 40 and be more interested once it gets there to see what it does.
Awesome.
Could be rejection at 40, right? And so you don't want to get too excited until you see how it acts. But
yeah.
All right,
so
guys.
One last ticker and then we can probably wrap up if you want.
What you got?
We got Zscaler, ZS.
All right, let's do Zscaler. I do like Zscaler. That's interesting. So they reported last week, right?
5:30, yeah.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on Zscaler, Kay? I know you follow this one a little bit, I think.
Man, I mean, 200-day moving average is coming up. If they can break that, I mean, this one candle is a little bit, because of the volume, right? I would
Yeah.
want to see how they play out in the next couple of days before, probably looking at a range of what this is what 173 to 193 is what I would aim to build a position on.
Okay. So it needs to recover a little bit first, because it's just below that.
Yeah, because most of your volume shelf begins at 185 level, so it's still far away from that level.
What do you think of this chart, Sean?
Yeah, not too. I'm not really into the stock. I haven't really looked at it, to be honest with you. But I moved back up to. I know it's had a couple of red candles, but it's at least trying to get through that trend line you've just drawn.
Mm-hmm.
I moved back to that 200 cycle level would be interesting. We could get back up there. But apart from that, it's not really a stock I look at, to be honest. And the chart doesn't look that great to me, so I'm going to pass. Unfortunately, for the last one.
Yeah, it doesn't look great. I don't love the fact that the breakout candle sold off back below the trend line, right? Like, that's not the best thing to see.
Not good.
So, yeah, you're going to have to wait and see how we act after the earnings last week. And maybe it'll be something where we see additional names, right, report, and then, although I can't think of who it might impact.
CrowdStrike.
Oh, yeah, Crowd, right. Perfect example. So maybe that'll help maintain the breakout and break this trend line.
You do have the possibility of that candle coming back down in the same day. You don't normally see it in the same day, but coming back and to retest the trend line. So you could perhaps be seeing that.
And then just a recovery off of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a risky entry, but it's possible. It's possible, especially when the rest of the market took off on the Friday and this one just didn't. So that's another alarming thought around that as well. So.
Yeah, it'd probably be interested if we got above Friday's high, which was 183.70. So if you get above that level, then the buyers have stepped back in, and that would be interesting. All right, I think that should be it for this week, because we have had a lot of tickers, all good stuff as always. Definitely appreciate everybody sending in the requests. If we didn't get to you guys, we'll try. We always try to get to everybody, but there's a lot that comes through, and so try to make enough time without going too long here as well. So respect everybody's time. But there's a lot of you out there, which is great. I mean, over 2,600 tuned in this week. Again, we appreciate everybody. If you haven't subscribed to the Trading Triangle on YouTube, I don't think I've reminded you once this entire stream to do that. Sean, where have you been on that? You got to get on it.
I'm getting lazy.
Do the like thing.
Yeah, there you go. Nice. So yeah, if you haven't already, smash the like button, and do subscribe to the Trading Triangle over on YouTube. We're getting the word out, building up our channel nicely, and hopefully you guys are enjoying it, and hopefully we can get out the word to other folks to enjoy as well. We are going to take a couple of weeks off during the month of June, just busy summer stuff, and take care of business, but keep tuning in on Sundays, and we'll be here as much as we can be. And I'm looking forward to the week ahead, starting a new fresh month, and hopefully get things moving higher as we're noting. So that's where my head's at there. Sean, how about yourself?
Yeah, looking forward to the week ahead. Of course, I've got lots of tickers on the pad down below. Looking forward to what Neo can do as well, of course. So yeah, but just trading safely. I'm not going to rush into anything. I'm not going to take too many positions, because obviously that's a fool's way of doing things, at least in my opinion, of course. But yeah. That's it for me, really. Nothing else to add. Enjoy your week.
Nice. How about you, Kay? Wrap it up for us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So definitely, as you mentioned, we'll be taking a couple weeks off. So you will see a little bit of a hiatus from us, but we will be continuing to post on our channels. Definitely follow up. And if you have ticker requests, we'll definitely cover that on the Twitter space as well. But we are on for next week. We will do this coverage. Nice. And for next week, I'll be mostly focusing on managing my existing positions. And maybe get into QQQ SPY, mostly focus on that, which is a daily options for me.
That's good stuff. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. We recognize the names that are in here regularly. Like we mentioned a couple of you, and if we didn't mention you, don't worry. We do notice, and we really appreciate the support. So thanks again for that, and we have a great time of it. So we're going to try to have more fun this week. And everybody, take care out there. Have a good week trading, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks, guys.